This is a HeadGum podcast.
This week on the program, LOL to them ever trying to make Ben Chaplin a thing. It's the truth about cats and dogs. I'm Andrew Jupin.
Steven Sadak.
Eric Siska.
Chris Gavin.
And Jennifer K.
And we hate movies. Hello, everyone. Welcome to We Hate Movies. Thank you for tuning in. As always, that's right. We're approaching Valentine's Day. We're getting in the rom-com mood here. It's The Truth About Cats and Dogs from 1996, directed by Michael Lehmann, who has done a lot of TV in recent years. But check this stacked filmography, y'all. Heathers, Hudson Hawk,
Wow.
Airheads.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
And then two gigantic slips, My Giant and 40 Days and 40 Nights.
What a king. We will be talking about 40 Days and 40 Nights at some point. That will be happening.
So he directed Heathers?
Yes.
Yes.
And so
Yep.
here's a little piece of trivia that I know from listening to the Heathers screenwriters DVD commentary many times in high school is that he originally wanted his idea for who would direct Heathers was Stanley Kubrick, which would
Sure.
make this guy, I guess, the poor man's Stanley Kubrick.
Oh, boy.
Man,
I like that.
3.5 hour Heathers. It's all lit by candlelight.
I feel like that's like if you're a Hollywood producer and you find a young screenwriter, they're especially like the 80s, they're like, well, it's either like Kubrick, I'd like to. Yeah, okay, sure, okay. I'm writing it down.
Yeah.
Pie in the Sky, Stanley Kubrick. I know he makes one movie every 12 years, but
Yeah, but would you settle for just some guy? We have just some guy.
I mean, I hate to tell you this, but he is technically still working on Full Metal Jacket. I know it's 1996, but he's still doing stuff on it. I don't know what to tell you.
we should say, of course, we're welcoming in a friend of the show, Jenn K, back. This is Jen. Did I hear Steve right? You have seen this movie 10,000 times?
Oh, at least.
That's what
yeah.
Steve said.
It's a sickness. I have a lifelong push and pull relationship with this movie. It's a bit of a will they, won't they?
Uh-huh.
Were you in theaters on this one when it came out?
No, this was a rental, family rental. Very unfortunately, because there's some real awkwardness if you're watching
Chelsea
this
had
with
the
your
same
family.
thing.
Yeah, it was bad because you think. It's pretty tame overall, except for that one thing, which is even worse than a sex scene, frankly, because it's so unsettling, and you do not expect that in a movie at all, especially when you're that age. So very memorable.
Yeah, that is a left field development, and I was not prepared. Even though I was told in advance that it happened, it was like, oh yeah, this is uncomfortable.
It's very long. It takes longer than you think it's going to. I've also seen this quite a lot of times, mostly because I had a very big crush on Janeane Garofalo.
Yeah,
in
likewise.
The 90s.
That bridge troll?
Shut the fuck up.
I'm playing the movie
know.
right now.
I know. It's incredible. It is truly one of the that's the thing is I don't think I ever really was paying attention to what was even happening in this movie. It's just because if I'd actually paid attention, I'd be like, oh, what the fuck? Why?
So you were like watching them Comedy Central half hours in ways I never even imagined.
Oh yeah. Woo, yeah.
Inventing all sorts of new ways to watch stand-up comedy. Huh?
Oh shit, she's taking out a notebook.
Oh, she's working stuff out on stage.
Hey, if you want to know who bought the one ticket to Clay Pigeons, it was me.
I remember. This is my first time watching this movie ever, but I
Same.
think I remember liking Clay Pigeons.
Clay Pigeons is okay.
Yeah,
I think I've seen it.
I definitely watched this movie as a youngin' because I like both Uma Thurman and Janeane Garofalo, and I'm like, is there something gonna happen, or so what are we doing here?
Really liven things up a little bit.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, there's the one scene where the three of them are getting wasted, and I was like, uh-oh.
I think it was on Ben Chaplin's mind in that scene.
Oh,
Oh,
for
It would
sure.
have to be.
So the truth about cats and dogs. Let's talk about the title really quick. So if that's like a cheeky title because cats and dogs fuck, well, not each other, but you know what I'm saying? Like the truth
In
about
general.
like the birds and the bees. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
No, I think
gotcha.
it's like they get along like cats and dogs, as in,
Not good.
Yeah.
it's
Conflict.
an explosive combination.
Right. Is that also the name of her radio show?
It is.
Yes.
So she is telling you the truth about cats and dogs as a.
You call it for the fish? She hanging up?
It's a great
I think
question.
so.
She addresses a fish issue, I believe, in the.
She does.
movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
She takes
okay.
all the animals.
And she knows how to check a turtle's prostate, so there's that too.
Oh man, fingering a turtle in this movie, didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
It would be hilarious if she just stopped, like when someone's like, "I have this fish," and she's like, "Fine." I mean, you heard the title of the show, right? It's fine. It's whatever. Fine, whatever. But yeah, this is stupid.
Brian, do we have any dogs online? All right, so fine, we don't. All right, fine. Fish it up.
What did I tell everyone last week? The last 5 minutes of every show is devoted to non-cat or dog pet problems.
Why do we even screen the calls? Is my question. Why even fucking bother?
Hey, big question also. What is the frequency of this program?
That's a great
It
question.
appears to be daily.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
It does.
It
I swear.
does.
It appears to be a daily program where this happens.
See, this
At
stuff,
least a Monday through Thursday kind of a
Yeah.
thing.
It's
It-
wild.
it kind of ruined outlook on life, didn't it? All these 90s movies where it's like, oh, I could have that cool, interesting job. Well, no,
Yep.
you can't.
No, you can't.
No,
This
no,
movie
sir.
lied to me. Frasier lied to me. I'm not working on the radio giving advice. So Jen, you're our guest this week, and you've seen this movie a bunch. If you had to distill the plot of this movie very quickly, how would you do it?
All right. So the plot of this movie, great question. So it is about a woman who is, I guess, some kind of, well, she's a radio veterinarian,
Yep, like
which
you
is
do.
a thing.
Mhm.
She's also short, and brunette, and this is a big problem
Uh-huh.
in the universe
Indeed.
of this film. She has a neighbor played by Uma Thurman who is tall and blonde, which is the best thing to be.
Mhm.
No matter what else you look like or are like.
Mhm.
And they do a little Cyrano act on this photographer, and then they all learn something, and then they end up together. In spite of the fact that she is short and brunette, he still likes her. Well, short, brunette, and a psycho. He
Yes.
still likes her in the
Yes.
end, and then they end up together, and then the movie just ends.
The psycho note. I think the psycho note's really important. And
Mhm.
like it is
That's what
incredible.
that is what we learn, Jen.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we learned. She's fucking crazy.
Crazy.
Accepts
Crazy.
herself as a maniac.
Yeah,
Pretty
a
much.
That's
true-
really what she's doing. And you have to imagine at some point they were in an office somewhere and they're like, look, we need a British guy for this. Hugh Grant is too angular, I guess. I don't know what, like a softer Hugh Grant is what we need. And it's Ben Chaplin, who is this little like kitten. Like he's just like adorable. Like it's just like a little cartoon character walking through this movie.
His career is kind of cursed, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Have you looked at it? It's not good.
What are we talking, Steve?
He's in that movie Birthday Girl, that Nicole
Yep.
Kidman movie, which is one of the worst.
I got a story about that movie.
Ooh. He's in another. Jen, we watched this. Do you remember Lost Souls with the Winona Ryder?
Of
that
course.
like
Oh,
My
yeah.
weird
God.
Catholic
Oh.
band. Like,
Yes.
it's probably a stay tuned. It's also super boring. He's in Murder by Numbers a little bit, which is kind of
I
a
totally
movie.
forgot he's in Murder by Numbers.
That's a super stay tuned and a
Yeah.
half. That one.
I
He's
might
in
have
The
to make
Thin Red
another
Line
appearance.
because he was working in 1998. That had to happen.
They let everyone in there.
Yeah, just not much is the idea. You know,
Yeah.
like just never really broke out.
I was just gonna say he's like a British Mark Duplass with like a fifth of the charm.
Mark Duless.
I mean, I
Wow.
do have to, just because you brought it up, I do have to say I was really sad to know that they cut out all of Louis Anderson's scenes in The Thin Red Line.
Oh yes.
He was a major. It was beautiful scenes. He was in the field telling Sean Penn what to do.
Guys, don't cross the thin red line.
And no jokes about how thin it is.
R.I.P. to a fucking great one, man. That was a total
Absolutely.
surprise.
Very unfortunate. Any other dead people you want to throw to the bus, Chris? Anybody else?
Look, I've got a Sydney joke for later. Don't
God,
worry.
I can't wait for it.
Well, I'll say, speaking of the dead, this movie was written by the late Audrey Wells. This was her first produced screenplay. She would go on to do not a lot of stuff. Actually, probably a couple of state tunes now that I'm looking at it. The Brendan Fraser, George of the Jungle, that abysmal Bruce Willis movie, The Kid, Under the Tuscan Sun, Shall We Dance, The Game Plan, A Dog's Purpose, and her final live action screenplay, The Hate You Give, which was also not great.
The Dog's Purpose was the one where Dennis Quaid was like throwing dogs into the river.
Throwing that dog in the river or whatever.
It was
yeah.
about like just how you get rid of dogs.
Yeah.
Also, Under the Tuscan Sun, also known as Divorce Can Be Fun.
Yep, absolutely. Divorce can be fun, just to partner it with a little bit of mild alcoholism. But the thing that I was reading about that's interesting is her original screenplay, like the way that she wrote it, and I guess this was coming from Garofalo. And Jen, I don't know if this was mentioned on the DVD commentary, but she was saying how I guess the movie was originally written more as like a movie you would expect to find Janeane Garofalo in the 90s, which is to say very low budget, very like indie feeling kind of rom-com. And then when Uma was cast, they were like, oh, wait, Foxx was like, now we have like a big star on our hands. Let's give it a bigger budget. And now it became this sort of like not indie feeling at all, like studio rom-com.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to imagine what that alternate universe version of this movie is, because I feel like it's not that much better for sure, because there's a lot of crappy independent rom-coms, many of which Janeane Garofalo was also in. But yeah, I just feel like I guess it would be like even lower key, and I guess the ending is a little more like bittersweet, but no.
Well, I mean, bittersweet would be better than like, I love you now that you manipulated me for weeks, and I don't even know, tried to like trick me into having sex with a model, I guess.
I mentioned that her name in this is Abby Normal.
This movie is kind of an overblown, it does turn into like an overblown 90s sitcom, you know what I mean? Like you can just almost hear the
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Because
previously on The Lying Woman.
Yeah. The audience just goes up and applaud whenever Jamie Foxx walks in the room.
Oh, big time.
Yeah, because the Cyrano-inspired plot is probably the second most common sitcom ripoff plot. The first, obviously, being "It's a Wonderful Life." That's your like number one sitcom riff episode, and then eventually you also do like the Cyrano riff episode.
I mean, it's just I cannot imagine that having Ed Burns do this movie would make it any better. I just can't like, and that's what they have to be talking about, right? Like I can't like romantic comedies of the time. Like I don't. Yeah,
they're looking for a Brothers McMullen.
She's got a dog so big it'll crush this town.
It's Clifford.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of music that could have been in this movie, and music that is in this movie, man, this movie starts with this like sloppy ass laid back fucking jazz, like it's a goddamn Woody Allen movie.
God.
No,
get that clarinet out of here.
I mean, at one point in this movie, and I mean at one point, they play Blues Traveler, and I'm like, you know what? That's your avenue. Like adult contemporary VH1 hits is what I want to hear in this film.
Wait, Janeane Garofalo, when we see her at home the first time, is listening to Solo Sting. That is a red alarm if I've ever seen that.
I would never, if I was an actress and they tried to make like my character listen to Sting, I would walk off the set.
Jen, so your motivation in this scene is that you're listening to Solo Sting.
Nope. I'm out of here.
I'll take the Aaron Neville. I'll even take the Aaron Neville.
Dude, Aaron, when he is trying to have a threesome to Aaron Neville, I mean, congratulations, dude. Better men than you have failed at that.
I love this first scene of her at the radio station. You see her like how the show goes, and You got David Cross as one of the people calling in. That's kind of cool.
Oh, also, when she's getting into the office, this helps us illustrate how ugly she is because, people don't hold the door open for her or the elevator.
Yep.
And the idea is like everyone in the elevator is very tall, I guess. So I guess that's the thing, is that she's short is the big problem. Like, men don't like short women.
The small part.
They just hate her though. Like when she goes in the elevator, they're just like, "Oh, fuck her." And
She's
I'm like,
probably an
why?
asshole or something.
I guess
she is an asshole because this is a very common movie problem where like a character has some kind of chip on their shoulder about something, and then they just act like a sarcastic jerk the whole movie.
Yep.
And you're supposed to like relate to it, but it's like, no, she's like huffing and puffing through this entire morning experience. She's a very unpleasant person.
Yeah, she does seem like it probably makes for a bad coworker vibe in the radio studio. That's definitely true.
Yeah, because she goes into her engineer and is like, "Oh, and they wouldn't hold the elevator for me, and this guy shut the door in my face," and he's just like, "Oh my God, Abby, can we just like start the show? I have to hear this every day."
Totally. Yeah, I've been running commercials. You're 5 minutes late. What's going on?
Oh, hi, Abby. No, you don't have to quote 3 pages from The Economist today at me. Thank you.
This producer closes the door and she goes on the air and he's just like, I was really hoping we'd get like a Frasier and Rouse thing going on, and I just don't see it happening.
No.
Because Frasier was on the air at this point, and very much we're borrowing from that as like a fake movie job that you want kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's that thing of like, you are a licensed medical professional of some kind, but you are not practicing. It's just like, you always expected Frasier to like take on some clients, and like not once does that happen on that show.
No. I mean, he paved the way for like Dr. Oz and shit like that.
Totally.
Oh yeah.
Really
Niles, I'm running for Senate in the Pennsylvania now.
Oh, Niles, I'm spreading vaccine misinformation all over the country.
Don't play with that. Kelsey Grammer might be doing that shit.
Oh, that's a good point.
Oh, man. Yeah, I haven't heard what his ass is up to these days.
After Money Plane or whatever the fuck the movie was.
Right.
It was indeed Money Plane. Still have never seen Money Plane.
Me neither.
Maybe
we
worth
should
the watch.
We should do that on the road maybe this year.
I like
something.
this. Yeah, we'll get in our Money Plane and do the Money Plane.
Yeah.
So that's like sort of her, her work life and everything. And then she's at home later. I think another thing, the thing is, maybe her coworkers hate her, but also like this movie in general just hates her.
Yes.
She's dressed in like baggy pajamas for 90% of this movie, inside and out, by the way.
I mean, I guess that's, you put her in a burlap sack, so you're not like, oh, it's not a 1996 Janeane Garofalo. Is that what we're trying to do? Like,
yep, they're doing their damnedest. Yes,
exactly. And they also give her a horrible haircut. Jen had a big problem with this haircut.
Oh, huge problem. It's a real S show, this haircut.
Well, she looks like what do you call it there? Oh God, what's the name of the little girl comic, Fran? No, you know what I'm talking about.
No.
With Sluggo and the whole thing.
Oh, Nancy?
Nancy. It's almost like a Nancy-ish kind of a situation.
Yeah, and it's so flat and like it looks kind of unwashed a lot of the time too, for some reason, which I guess is to show how low-key she is, but no. And yet her face is caked in makeup, which they try and pretend she's not wearing because movies love to do that. Like, it's very strange.
It's like the minimal amount of like makeup comparatively that like she has through most of this movie is just to set up when there's the scene where like the counter woman at like the department store really lays it on thick, so you can be like, oh, now she's got makeup on.
So this is makeup.
Yeah, exactly. So she's at home playing the violin in the dark,
Jesus Christ,
which is what you want to be doing.
Real serial killer behavior.
Yep, absolutely. You got some heads in the freezer with this trick. And she hears some shouting, or there's a knock at the door, and it's drunk Roy, actually played by James McCaffrey, who I don't think any of you watched it, but he was a big character on Rescue Me, the Dennis Leary show.
I know him from American Splendor. He's the guy that like brings his daughter over to do a comic with Paul Giamatti's Harvey Picar and has a drug problem, but is like, you want to just keep her then? Oh,
wow.
Yeah. That guy rules.
I'm
That's
overdue
amazing.
for that. He was cool on Rescue Me because he played Dennis Leary's brother-in-law who was like killed in 9/11, and he would like appear to him like throughout the show.
As a ghost?
Yeah.
Like a force ghost?
As a vision, yeah.
That's interesting.
They didn't do like make him translucent and
No wavy
blue.
lines or anything?
No, they would just be standing there. But that was part of the show. Was
Did
he was
they-
haunted by.
Was there like a high budget episode showing the,
The nether space.
What happened to him?
Dennis.
Was there a
They
9/11 episode of Rescue Me where we get to see the
no, I mean
towers fall?
in the first season, there's a lot of flashbacks because he's having like PTSD. So yes, actually, to answer your question. But anyway, so he's knocking on the door. He's got the wrong apartment, and I don't know why they bother to like hold the reveal that it's Uma as the neighbor.
No,
because she's like shouting like, "Get in here, Roy! You're in the wrong apartment!" And it's like, I know Uma Thurman's in this movie. It's literally 75% of the reason I'm watching it. Just ask Chris Cabin. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. And like, do you think that if I was in this apartment complex, I'm expecting the loud couple to be yelling. I know that's happening. It's just a part of living in an apartment complex like that. The 3 a.m. violin practice, I would be much more having a problem with that one.
Yeah.
And like the thing about the Roy situation is like, you don't even like, you might want to give one scene of where he's like, you see like how seductive he is.
Sure.
Or like what she might have maybe ever seen in him other than he has like a mane and a leather jacket. But like, yeah, this just like he's an asshole from the very get-go.
But they play Uma, and Uma has to play this character, unfortunately, this is not exactly what she should be doing in movies, as dangerously stupid. Like literally like somebody that needs like welfare checks. Like, hey, we're not using the stove, right? We're ordering food in.
This is what it should have been. They should have assigned her as a veterinarian to check on this woman. And then she uses her for her own weird sex games.
Technically, we have classified her as a pet. We don't know what else to do with her. But like, yeah, could you give us some advice?
For what it's worth, and like, yes, she is dangerously stupid, fucking mittens pinned to her jacket all year long. But like, I actually thought she is pretty funny in this movie, and like her doing like screwball kind of stuff was interesting to me. But the problem is the rest of the movie isn't a screwball comedy.
Yeah.
She's the only character that's in a screwball comedy, and you're like, well, wait a second. You can't go from like how she's acting to Janeane Garofalo, like, while I'm on the radio again.
Well, she needs to be more like Will Hurt in broadcast news. Like, there's this like sense of professionalism. Like, she should already have the anchor job. Like, the thing that should be about her is that she does know everything about aesthetics, and she knows how to present herself, and she knows all that stuff. But no, she's just like a bumbling buffoon who like dresses up like a toddler for half of the
I think part of that's also like, is this a commentary on LA models or something? If this is a girl who's an LA model, she has to be this stupid.
I mean, but it's like embarrassing though. Like Ben Chaplin gives her a book and she almost breaks down in tears because it's the first time she, an adult woman, has received a book that doesn't have pictures in it.
I mean,
and I was like, I didn't think it was that bad.
But yeah, so she, whatever, they have this argument, and Abby, he's like, is this what he's calling her, fat and stuff, and yelling at her?
He calls her an ugly bitch. Well,
That's
no, he calls her a dumb bitch first,
That's
and
right.
then on his way leaving, he calls her a ugly dumb bitch.
Oh, because Abby comes out with her violin bow and like kind of threatens him with it, and he just breaks it, which is what you would do in that situation. I mean,
Totally. It's not like you got a sword on this guy.
And that's kind of their kind of, I would call it a meet cute, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. So it is pretty much the next day. So yeah, I think this is at least a Monday through Thursday radio gig. She is back at the radio station on the air, and here it comes. There's a phone call, and it is Ben Chaplin as this photographer, and he just can't get this dog on roller skates to calm down.
I love the detail, too, that like he got it from the shelter and immediately threw roller skates on it. He like adopted it for a photo shoot, and this phone call brings him around to maybe keeping it, I feel. Otherwise, he's going to kill it in the alley.
What's he gonna do with it.
I mean, honestly, like, adopting a dog anywhere is pretty tough now. You really, you got to talk. There's like, they talk to you about stuff. There's interviews. You need references. You're like, yeah, I want a dog. I want to throw it on roller skates, then throw it into traffic.
Sir, it's not as easy as getting a gun, okay?
Look, we're talking about adopting a dog here, sir.
We don't do returns. That's a long process that you have to start. Probably give it some time. Why don't you, Ben Chaplin, for one fucking photo shoot? That he didn't even clear with the people he was shooting.
He is trying to return this dog like a fucking white girl Instagram influencer after the fucking worst part of the pandemic. Like, I can go out of the house now. I don't need it anymore.
I forgot that happened, huh?
Oh yeah, massive problem with those people.
One thing you have to ask yourself, which is, is this dog still alive? And the thing is, a helpful hint for you guys at home, if you're watching a movie from the 90s, it's and wondering about the animals, it's like watching a movie from the 40s and wondering about the people. Yes. Everybody's dead.
Everybody's dead.
Every animal you see in this movie is long dead.
Except possibly the tortoise.
That's a good point.
Yes.
The tortoises do live a little longer, don't they?
Unless Uma Thurman caused some anal fissure with that thing and died after the scene was
bleeding
shot.
out.
Come with me with some new information, but I'm pretty sure the turtle is dead too. I'm just gonna take a bet up flyer on this one. I think the turtle's dead too.
You're just watching Casablanca and everyone's having a grand old time. Like, all these people are fucking dead. All these animals, they're dead.
They need to start updating this IMDb because Hank the dog is credited. And he's got one credit, and it's just this. And we don't have any date of death or anything.
So you think it might be a 30-something-year-old dog, possibly?
Maybe, yeah.
It's because they took him out, Eric. They whacked him.
Right.
We've said this
whackers
before.
or whatever.
Yeah.
He knew too
man,
much.
don't get Randy Quaid involved in this. But we need the IMDb, the Internet Dog.
1,000%.
Or whatever I was doing.
Oh my
there.
God.
Yeah.
I know this comes up later, but the guy in the cafe that swats the bee, he's credited as B-Man.
Hey, B-Man!
B-Man! Uh-oh, here comes B-Man.
No, yeah, I also like them tall. Hi, Uma Thurman.
But yeah, so like he's like, I need to. How do I calm this dog down? And like they have like kind of a fun, I guess, flirty conversation where she's like, if you get on all fours, you know what that means.
Yep. It's also, I mean, it is weird that like this dude's instinct is like, this dog is freaking out. Better call this radio show. Like, the fact that this guy even knows that a show like this exists is kind of weird, you know. I didn't see, he didn't pull the old 90s sitcom thing that Seinfeld is so guilty of this, where it's like, let me call that radio station, and just they immediately start dialing a number without having to look it up.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and during this whole conversation, there is a lot of dead air. This is like a dull. This is not great radio here.
Yeah, we need to cut to the producer freaking out.
I know, because he's not even describing what he's doing. So it's just like she's giving him instructions, and then it's just silence while he does it. And so people at home are just like, what is going on right now?
I mean, I guess it's for like ASMR people who are really having a fun time here because, I mean, Janine's got quite a breathy voice.
It's true. And I feel like the sound of dog roller skates must be someone's like ASMR trigger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I like ASMR and bestiality, so I listen to this show.
There's Brave New Frontiers, Eric.
Who is not helping the situation is Ed, the photography assistant, played by Jamie Foxx.
Hell yeah.
Dude, this could have been like, if you were like, Andrew, $50. Do you think Jamie Foxx appears in The Truth About Cats and Dogs? That's $50 I would lose.
Same.
I would bet the field that there are no black people in this movie, but here we are. We had Jamie Foxx of all people.
It's funny that like all of them, because there were so many of those movies that were like adapted from French movies into American movies,
right.
Such as Jungle to Jungle, previous episode. But like this also feels like those movies. That has the same like temperature and overall look and like the bodiness, like the little, we're having a little bit more fun in the groin section here, everybody.
It reads as English as second language for sure.
Very weird. And like, I guess it technically like because the Serrano connection, it kind of is, but like,
so he, gets the advice. It all works out. The dog's cool. Great job, Janeane Garofalo. You saved another life. And then in a stunning turn of events, this dude shows up at the radio station to thank her.
First things first, he calls her up. I think this is in the first scene, actually. After the David Cross call, he calls. This is before we meet Uma, and then he calls the station to say, "Hey, can I talk to that lady, that personality?" Like,
oh, you're right.
We'll patch you right in. Absolutely
right
not.
to a personal desk phone. Like that's.
Yep.
Like that's just not how that works. I mean, especially for like, for any, you're gonna get talk radioed, man. Like this is gonna happen. You keep putting these people through, and she's like, "Oh, well, let's have it." He's like, "Can I buy you a drink?" And she's like, "Oh, sure. I'm 5'10" and blonde because I'm a lunatic."
Insane person. Yeah, that's
and
what
she's looking at a picture of Uma Thurman, who's done a photography gig for like some speaker company.
Yes.
And it's Uma like sexily sitting on top of the speaker or whatever. But the other weird thing that he says, I forgot. Yeah, this is the phone call part.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I wanted to call you to let you know that like the gag, of course, is we slept together. The dog slept in the bed. But then he also says, did you get the picture I sent?
Oh,
she's
dude.
like, oh yeah. And I was like, holy fuck, buddy, you're sending photographs to this woman at the radio station? Big trouble.
Did you get the thumb I sent in the mail? The cipher?
No,
Did you get that envelope of hair I sent?
Yeah, I have your grandmother's ID here. Could you talk to me, please?
Hey, Abby, we got a heavy breather on line 3. I'm just putting him right through. He's jerking off right now.
Oh, good. I'll try to date him.
But it's interesting too, like not only just saying like, oh, I guess maybe living out a fantasy saying you're this or that, but then like agreeing to a time and place and then going about your life like it didn't fucking matter.
Just say no. Why aren't you just saying, I don't do this? This is not like, you definitely need the fucking scene of seeing whoever screens these calls, who obviously also hates her, being like, fuck her, let this psycho through. And then this happens, and then she just like there's this sad quote unquote scene of him and this dog on this bridge, just like looking off into the sea. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, buddy? Like I'm sorry, you're Ben Chaplin. You're adorable. You're doing fine.
Yeah,
and
he's a photographer, which is another fake job you can't get. You know,
Absolutely.
his life is paradise.
Did you look at that fucking studio and apartment he has? It's absolutely insane. Like Janeane Garofalo's apartment almost looks correct for the job she does. Almost right. But the one that fucking Ben Chaplin has is like he produces movies.
It's also interesting, like they established like Uma Thurman is this model or whatever, and she's appearing in print photographs and stuff. And he's a photographer, maybe working within that industry.
Yep.
There's no like, wait, what or anything.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know who models are. Like, yeah, you're totally right there.
Yeah, and she also knows nothing about photography, like at all. Like he barely seems to know what a photograph is.
But so he comes, and again, so he storms into this the police station, this radio station with the dog the next day. Like, I'm going to give her a piece of my mind. Oh, right that way, Mac. You want to yell at our on-air personality?
I know,
Go right ahead.
Wild. Like, I know this is pre 9/11 world, but I feel like they had some kind of security back then. Like,
absolutely.
At least a guard.
I mean, you know, like Nakatomi Towers had a dude sitting at the front desk. Like, yeah, he was easily assassinated, but he was there. Bruce Willis had to check in.
That's what he should do. He should start killing security guards with this dog to find this lady.
You know what? Usually I'm supposed to take you by the arm and escort you out and maybe even throw you down the stairs a little bit. But she forgot my birthday like every year. Like everybody else is really good about it. She forgets all the time. Why don't you just go on through, buddy?
Oh,
Take her out of here.
Another mouth-breathing lunatic here to see that small woman. Go right ahead.
I'm great at my job.
She's too ugly to protect.
If she was tall and blonde, I'd screen you.
But as it is, you know, she deserves to die.
Oh, wild animal too? Go right ahead.
It's a busy day for Janeane Garofalo getting visitors at the studio because before he shows up, Uma shows up. Because we got our run-ins with Roy conflated here, mixed up. There is the first one where we don't see Uma. Then there's this second one where they're having the argument and Janeane goes out. And this is where the bow gets broken.
Yes.
And then, so this is Uma coming to the studio to be like, oh, you know, I bought you a new bow and some flowers, and, you know, I want to kind of be friends with you. Because there was a thing where Uma is sort of like complaining about her like station in life or something, and then she basically is like, Janeane Garofalo's character gets insulted because Uma is like, then the next thing you know, you have a cat and you're 40, and Abby, Janeane Garofalo is like, what's wrong with that? They kind of have like a fight. So this is her like sort of trying to make it, make up, do a make good here.
Yeah. So she brings this like big bouquet of flowers and the violin bow into the studio, and you know that her producer behind that glass is going to be the engineer. I knew it.
Oh, definitely.
You owe me $20, Brad.
Told you that's why she wasn't paying attention to you, Brad. Told you.
Yeah, and like so and like Ben Chaplin comes in and is like is like, which one is Abby? And for whatever, I mean, like in a Maniac thing, oh no, I'm sorry, he assumes that Uma Thurman is Abby because she's already been described as such.
And then Uma's in the booth kind of messing around with the headphones, pretending like she's on the air.
And I mean, like
a child would if they were in this circumstance.
Yes.
The voices couldn't be any different,
Oh,
any more different.
Yeah.
It's like James Earl Jones and Paul Giamatti. You know what I mean? Like Uma's got this like deep husky voice, and Janeane Garofalo's got this like wry, sarcastic, like East
low
Coast
husky voice.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's different. It's a little more nasally, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
gravelly. I would say gravelly.
Gravelly, yes. They couldn't be more different. He's like, wow, you sound totally different. She's like, oh, the radio adds 10 pounds. I don't know what. I don't know.
Well, it's like James Earl Jones playing Darth Vader. Like the pop cover on the microphone makes you sound so much different.
It is hilarious though, because she says something about like, the radio makes all the difference or something like that, and he's like, oh yes, I've heard about that. Yes, definitely.
Blimey.
Oh, I have zero personality.
Oh, meanwhile, I'm meant to stab you right now. That's why I'm here.
Could you tell me which one of you is Abby? Well, no reason other than I need to know who it is I'm here to kill.
It's best not to keep your eyes on your purse at all times. You should just let whatever happens to you.
Oh man, now I kind of want this to have been the movie, like a Play Misty for me, where like a psycho attacks you at the radio station.
Pardon me, ladies. Oh, one of you had your last breakfast. Which one is it?
But so to like make this lie work, Abby is pretending to be Donna, the assistant.
I can't.
And so like Noelle is Uma's character's name. Noelle and Abby go out to lunch. And this is, we hear all this stuff from Uma about like, oh, I don't eat. I just like to order and look at it because I'm a model. Does everybody get it? Beep, beep, beep.
Yeah, we're having fun.
And this is where it is so like not for this movie, but it is hilarious. This guy freaking out about the bee.
It's a nice little bit. I mean, like the thing that's weird about her is that you would imagine if you have enough money to pay for this the place you have, and also just buy food that you're wasting. Like, are you you would have to be like on magazine covers. You're not just like on the stereo equipment ad that's pinned up for some reason. Like it makes no sense to me.
That's a risque ad for Eagle speakers, by the way. It is really something.
Doesn't it want to make you upgrade your sound system?
It does, I guess. But I thought Eagle was a family company.
No,
not anymore.
They're also responsible for the Def Leppard covers.
Now that Chuck Sr. died and Chuck Jr. took over the company.
Chuck Eagle.
Yes, Chuck Eagle. Chuck Eagle Jr. Wow, what a great name.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the most American name of all time.
Oh, he's definitely there on 1/6, dude. Don't worry about it.
Oh, yeah, Chuck Eagle. He had some things to say on the internet. He was bragging on Facebook about some things on 1/7.
But the point of this scene is with the bee guy is like everywhere. There's also another thing when they're walking and some guy like does a bicycle trick and like almost gets hit by a car, kind of a thing.
Also very funny. That was in the trailer,
right? Because everyone's trying to impress Uma. But I just noticed in my notes one line Uma has at this lunch where she's not eating anything. She's concerned that you are what you eat and that she's nothing.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
real, you got problems, lady.
Yeah.
And we just breezed right past that to a joke that really could not be made. They get out of this restaurant and fucking Uma Thurman is like, what's wrong? And Janeane Garofalo says, nothing that an AK-47 and a clock tower wouldn't cure. And I'm like, you couldn't make within a 10-year radius. You can't make that fucking joke.
But it's a funny joke.
It really is. It perked me up. I was like, wow, okay, it's some spice.
Not only is it fucking hilarious, it's a weird thing where you're like, oh, that could have been something in your stand-up.
Yes, exactly.
Which means it shouldn't be in this movie, though, is the thing.
I'm sure she's doing some ad-libbing and something to make this movie even remotely humorous.
I don't think she's great, but she is so much like in comparison to so many like Chris Rock is like one of the worst he's always doing stand-up.
Yes.
Every movie he's ever done, he's always doing stand-up. No matter what, even if the material is not stand-up. Even if it's a dramatic reading.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's a legitimately good actress. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
I think she's pretty good in this.
That's why Chris Rock's best movie is top 5, because he plays a
just him.
stand-up in that movie, and it's fine that all of his dialogue sounds like he's doing a bit.
She but the whole point of this part is like, oh, all these men are going crazy over her and like ignoring Abby. But I mean, I feel like if you were to ask a room of 10 straight men who they preferred, Janeane Garofalo or Uma Thurman, it would be like a 6 to 4 split, not like 9 to 1. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah,
it's just it's a preference thing. Like, do you like tall women or do you like short women? Do you like these? You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they're both very, very good looking. Is the long and short of it.
Yeah, and they're also very distinctive looking because it's not like Uma Thurman is like a classic blonde bombshell type.
Yes.
Like she is also an acquired taste in her own way.
Yeah. It's not like a Denise Richards or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, where it's just like this bodacious babe. Uma Thurman's gorgeous, but like it's a very specific look. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But very tall models were very big, and like I guess there always are. But like in the 90s, it
That
seemed
was
like
a
a
thing,
very
yeah.
specific thing.
The Kate Moss thing.
Yeah,
They're big. They're tall, dude.
Yeah, I guess it just comes down at the end of the day. Do you like women with huge hands or do you like women with very small hands?
Yes.
Yeah, at the end of you're totally right, Jen. At the end of the day, how many tough jars are you trying to open?
These hands, man, are enormous. They're really big.
It's wild stuff, dude. That's all I gotta say.
They're pickle releasing hands.
Oh, she's got a pair of real. Can I get that for you? Over there.
Let me crack that lobster for you. There you go.
The bar that they go to, they're meeting Brian at this bar, and he is like immediately telling Janeane Garofalo all about how he thinks he's meant to be with Uma Thurman. And I'm like,
shit.
fucking
Crazy.
psycho
City.
alert.
Like, if he just wanted to fuck her or whatever, wanted to fool around, like that would be fine. Because I guess at this point, like I think they've come to the agreement, like we're gonna go to the bar. Janeane Garofalo is going to tell him immediately, and then she spills fucking salsa all over her shirt, which I do agree.
Yeah.
It's not a great look. I've been
You can't be spilling the beans about something like this when you got a salsa shirt on your hands.
Yeah.
But this is like, you're right. When we were saying that this is like very 90s sitcom-y, because this is the moment, like you watch all those Friends episodes or Seinfeld's where it's like this whole thing is diffused if you just say this thing right now.
Yep.
And it's not that, I guess, because of the salsa, but this was where Steve, you mentioned Blues Traveler starts playing, and they do indeed start playing here. The way that the movie, they're trying to make it sound like it's bar music, like diegetic and not just like playing on the soundtrack, but the way that it's mixed definitely makes it sound like Blues Traveler was playing a gig in the other room. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, this movie's coming out in 1996. We're definitely about to have a John Popper cameo right here.
Oh, bummer.
And no such luck, just bad mixing.
They might be playing.
There'd have to be in a stadium for them to actually play.
I guess that's true. They were huge at the time.
Yeah.
Huge.
But for the fictional movie, and then he could give like Janeane Garofalo a little like life lesson about believing in yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be
Absolutely.
better than her lying about having a goat farm that she makes
Jesus.
cheese
God.
at.
Oh, Dawn, I hope you're not giving me a runaround.
Like, if you have to be like, oh, you're putting me on, aren't you? You're putting me on.
On a cracker with some cheese.
Like, I don't know why you wouldn't just say she works with me at the radio station.
Yeah, I'm a publicist. I'm a producer. I'm literally anything. I've seen anything.
It's one of those things where it's like, oh, first of all, the guy, Ben Chaplin's whatever, he says like, oh, you're here to screen me for Abby. Oh, how wonderful. And then she sees a plate of cheese go out from the kitchen. That's where she goes, oh, I make cheese.
Man, it's like lazy Usual Suspects.
Yeah.
But they go back to his place and like, yeah, I'll give you all it's a banger interior. But the outside of this thing, I was like, does he live in a bomb shelter? Like, you see them approach this building, and I was like, there's a dead body murdered by John Doe from 7 in that room. Like, the outside of this place looks so weird.
First of all, 2 spacey refs in a row, and I appreciate it. Second, lazy Usual Suspects. Is that how Kaiser Soze started saying he's verbal kint? Like he was in an awkward social situation, and
exactly.
Like his foot fell asleep, and then like, oh, there's that guy with the leg problem.
And the myth just built itself from there. Exactly. But this is where, they're looking at his photos, and this is like, Janeane Garofalo and Uma are both looking at them, and it is like Uma is playing an alien who's never seen a photograph before, because he's like, he does it twice to her in this movie where he's like, what do you think of this one? And she's like, what do I think?
So my soul's in the photo now. Oh.
And Janeane Garofalo is some kind of art genius, because she's like, I really like those textures.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's art history 101 or better, possibly.
And this is all a fucking sick setup by this son of a bitch, Brian, because then all of a sudden there's a knock at the door, and in comes Jamie Foxx with this little girl, and he's like, oh, good, you're here. And Ben Chaplin's like, oh, yes, I called him straight away. His niece has a turtle problem. And I was like, man, that's fucked up.
And this
she's not working right now.
She has to. So the thing is, you have to inject this turtle, and it's like Jamie Foxx says they got everything from the veterinarian. Like, why can't that person inject it?
Well, Jen and I were talking about this last night about the implausibility of her own show, because every call would be like, you got to go to the vet. Like that would be like, would be, it's okay. Like my dog is throwing up. Okay, so you want to go to the vet. My dog is having this. Yeah, you probably want to just go to the vet.
My cat got hit by a car.
Vet. Yep, vet again.
Maybe go to the pet store.
You are just waiting for the psychos to come onto your radio station and be like, oh, he doesn't talk to me like he used to.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
and just that drags out for 30 minutes.
I mean, at the time Howard Stern was huge, so you kind of want to have a huge amount of freaks calling up.
She needs her own whack pack on this show.
Get a calico cat on a Sibian.
No,
God. Calico pussy, please.
Good gravy.
What was I going to say about that? I'll come back to me. Go ahead, Steve.
But
Sorry.
so the girl, it's like, oh, my turtle or whatever. I'd be like, first of all, cats and ducks, not turtles and parrots. You got the wrong lady. Sorry.
Yeah.
What I was going to say was to your point. Yes, definitely. She would not be able to administer anything other than go to the vet. But it would make more sense if the show was if she was a dog whisperer kind of thing, and it was behavioral.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are things you can give advice on, training, behavioral things, whatever. But my dog's kind of wheezing and she hasn't been eating for a couple days, and I'm starting. It's there will be nothing she can say to you besides go to the doctor.
Yeah, my dog ate chocolate. Go to the vet. My dog eats wheezing. Go to the vet. Go to the fucking vet.
I mean, the attitude of the film is a little bit like a concerned parent who has a 26-year-old a single child who's really into their dog and not dating. That's the whole all the people who are essentially treated like crazy people on the air are just people who are really into their pet. Yeah. And the whole point is these two people have to stop caring about their pets and start boning, because otherwise we'll all die.
Like the Pope said.
Yes,
that's true.
Very true.
That's true.
So Jen, when you watch this as a youth, how did the turtles scene play out with your parents, or not so much?
I mean, I think that wouldn't have occurred to me as being like sexual or weird
Yeah.
at all. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like butts are funny. Always,
Butts are
like,
always funny.
But butts are just funny. Like, I don't think it would have creeped me out the way it would have if I was a little older.
Your
Then I
parents are
would have
giving
gotten, you know,
a
the
knowing look about that turtle getting
Yeah,
fingered.
the connotation.
So the phone sex scene was the problem, right?
that was the issue.
Yeah,
That
it
was
was
the big-
courageous of them to put this in there. It was a new thing, just invented, I think.
What's weird too, it's very interesting. It's not the clothes or the soundtrack so much, or the fact that you're seeing Janeane Garofalo in a movie that really tells you it's the 1990s.
Oh, here it comes.
What really does it is Jamie Foxx saying in
Oh my
all
God.
seriousness, that Uma Thurman is indeed all that in a bag of chips.
I
Wow.
couldn't believe it.
Wow.
Like
Unreal.
like he made it up too.
I mean, it is so totally crazy that he just says it like so seriously, like, oh God damn, look at her. Like, I was like, so that happened. I mean, I guess there was a point in our collective pop culture
Yeah.
where you said that and you meant business.
I watched a movie. It was like a trashy piece of shit, but like this is like 2001, 2002, and I heard a badonkadonk in the wild.
Wow.
It was absolutely incredible. I forgot completely that happened, and I was horrified all over again.
And absent of any like attempt at comedy, like it was just like, oh, and of course, Section 7, the badonkadonk.
No, it was like some guy's friend, and like look at that badonkadonk to somebody who they don't even cut to. Like Entourage style, we're walking away from something and we're really cool, and then one of his side guys says, "Look at that badonkadonk."
So you saw this in a movie, not real life. Is it
No, in a movie.
Okay.
I feel like if you hear that in real life, Chris, you got to call me immediately.
I
Just let me.
did
It fucking happened. I heard it IRL.
We might have a crank yanker loose on.
No, those people are immediately executed. We all know that.
But so to save the turtle's life, she has to finger it, and Janeane Garofalo has to let her know how to do it in the other rooms. Like, oh, we'll go wash our hands, kind of thing.
But it's also like now that there's like a living being being tended to,
Yep.
maybe this is where you break your reality.
Just come clean
Yeah.
and be like, hey, listen, we were doing some weird scam on you, but you know what? This turtle is in trouble. I should come clean.
I'll tell you right now, if it was a dog or a cat, absolutely they would fold so fast. But the fact that it's just this gnarly little turtle, it's just like, fuck it. You know what? If you puncture this thing's rectum, it's just the turtle. I'll give you the $2 to go buy another one.
I guess, a turtle with a punctured rectum could go on to have a long and healthy life. I mean, look at Mitch McConnell.
That's true.
True.
That's very true.
I remember when Uma Thurman needed to finger my asshole.
I was too shy and I never came out of my shell.
Never thought about cling wrap the same again.
Yeah, we are wrapping it up, aren't we?
Well, you have to, really.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
But it's a pretty quick cut after that scene. Like, yeah,
We see the head come out of the shell.
Yes.
We don't see needle penetration, which is a problem for me.
But just this turtle being like, hello. I thought it was kind of funny.
How did you know I liked that?
Oh, it's his thing.
So they make a date to go to this department store, and Uma's like, I'm going to help get you gussied up there.
Sure.
And this department store clerk just spending time in her day telling Janeane Garofalo how disgusting she is.
God.
What the fuck, man?
I just don't get it. Yeah, like just you're disgusting, and like I think Janine's got some snappy one-liners as well. Yikes.
She has the snappy one-liners when she takes stuff back to this lady.
Oh, right.
Towards the end of the movie. But this is where it's like Uma's like, oh, we'll get all these products for you, get you done up right and whatever. And they cut and it's just Janeane Garofalo looking like a fucking clown. It's outrageous.
Well, I imagine this is where young Steve's antennas went right up when Uma Thurman says, "I'd fuck you."
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm like, all right, dude. That's like Chekhov's gun. Don't set that off in the first act unless you're gonna pay it off in the third.
Now you got to start really paying attention to the movie.
I love there's the bookstore scene. It's kind of like there's just a lot of like, oh, isn't she beautiful? And it's a bookstore scene where Uma Thurman, what you call it? She takes her to a bookstore. Garofalo takes her to a bookstore. And
she's like, "What are these?"
And the guy behind the counter, they're talking, and the guy behind the counter is just like, "Well, you're so beautiful. Anything you do is perfect," or something terrifying.
It's something about her body, and then he goes, "And what a body it is!"
Yes, that's right. And the guy doing it is her brother.
Yeah,
Uma Thurman's real life brother delivering this line, and like, I don't know. Why don't you switch him and B guy?
Exactly. Well, he could be B guy. Then.
We're trying to hit everything for everyone, you know.
Oh yeah, that's true.
No, you get all the incest creeps in here.
Hey, Tony. So what we want you to do here is hit on your sister. Just this scene, you're gonna hit on your sister is what's gonna happen. And like I took that. I didn't even check. But I took down the note. A bookkeeper who looks like Uma Thurman. I was like, what the fuck is going on in this scene?
Yeah, it's like if Uma Thurman and John Lennon were like photoshopped together, it would look like this dude.
Really
when you look at it, like when they get the close up, when he says this bone chilling line, you realize like they have the same exact eyes.
Yes,
it's the same eyes, and you're just like, ew.
No, explicitly, we want you to talk about your sister's body. Is the reference you how much you like it is what we would like you to do.
Hey, Michael. Yeah, can we just? I was thinking in between some of these takes here. Wouldn't it be funny if bookstore guy? Maybe I just like took it for a walk a little bit. Just tell her how beautiful her body is and what I'd like to do with it. I mean, what the character would like to do with it.
I like how you're thinking, buddy. I really do. I think this is a good way. I think we can open this scene up a bit.
I still can't believe that's the
it's the brother.
Jeez,
Deccan Thurman, by the way, Dechen. Think about that.
I played an arcade fighting game called that.
Deccan Thurman 3.
Absolutely. But so here it is. We're at the moment, folks. The big fucking phone call scene.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh boy. And it's like you. Go ahead, Steve.
Oh no, because Ben Chaplin has a scene with Jamie Foxx where he does indeed profess to be a little weirded out that like she seems so different in person than she does on the radio. On the radio, she's so smart and whatever, and in person she seems dumber than a bag of rocks. Kind of.
She doesn't know what books are.
Did everybody catch the horrendous ADR in that quick scene? By the way.
No.
It's like they're outside getting into Ben Chaplin's fucking Jurassic Park Jeep that this guy has for whatever
Pretty
reason.
Cool.
And Jamie Foxx is like standing on the other side of the car. They're outside and it's all really bad ADR, but like it gets really horrendous when Jamie Foxx, he just has this line that like they must have recorded later while he was in a Burger King drive-thru, because it's just like, you're letting your brain do too much of your thinking. It doesn't sound like him. Jamie Foxx in that take is not moving his mouth almost. It's so bad.
So did they cover something more like a salacious, like think with your dick, brother?
Oh, yeah.
Probably something like that.
Get the TV cut in for Comedy Central.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, he calls her because he has her number. And I guess he's like, oh, wow, you sound like you do on the radio. And also like that woman I keep meeting.
Strange.
Hey, you sound like your friend who hilariously spilled salsa all over herself while Blues Traveler was playing.
Again, are you giving me the runaround? I really need to know. I've been listening to that song nonstop since that day in the bar. Are you giving me the runaround?
So in your household, Jen, the scene's starting up. You're just totally cool with it. You're just like relaxing. You're watching a nice family film.
Exactly. We're just sitting down. They're having a nice chat. Like, they're intellectually connecting. Adorable. Joking around, taking a bath together. It gets a little saucy, but nothing crazy.
She's playing the violin. Like, I've seen that before. Sounds good.
This sounds good. We're going
That's
good.
That's what is funny about this, right? Because you're right. Like the bath happens and you're like, uh-oh. But then literally the next thing is the two of them are making a tuna fish sandwich together. And you're like, all right, maybe it's diffused.
All right.
Violin concert. Okay.
Sure. I'd be hanging up. I'd be like, yeah.
This crazy Liz, like, would you like me to play the violin for you?
Oh, sure. And if you're not hanging up at the violin concert, you were hanging up when this dude is like, I don't know, can I just read to you for a little while?
I know.
Read to you Roland Barthes. like what the fuck, man? One thing if you're like it's a like romantic novel or something, or like even like poetry, I could understand. A book about fucking photographs by Roland Barthes.
No.
Are you fucking insane?
Well, you think about like when Harry Met Sally, when they're just watching TV together, and it's so lived in and so nice. They're on the phone, they're watching the same thing. That's something human beings could do.
Yeah, but he's reading this book about photography because he wants to see what's going to develop.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, I just always love what movies and television think that like is going to make the audience think that these people are smart. Like I'm fascinated by this. Obviously, that's like all Frasier. And then like these are things that I watched as a child, which gave me this weird idea about like what smart people do. That smart people would sit on the phone and read each other like dry kind of academic texts, I guess.
Yeah.
Question mark.
Philosophy about photography?
Yeah,
Get
sure.
the fuck out of here, man.
I mean, I never, thought that reading, an academic photography book after this like dry as nails violin concert could make people so horny that they could not reverse the course, and it just ultimately devolves into phone sex.
Yeah, because see, the violin turned her on, and the photography stuff turned him on.
I see. And now they're both ready to go. And I mean, like, I guess that's the thing is like, again, this is a guy that you don't know, you barely met. And like he's just calling you at all hours, reading to you and begging for phone sex. It's a hard thing to convert, dude. I'm sorry. Like because you don't see them discussing it. It's just sort of like he's already like, I've taken me pants off or whatever. And like also like here's the thing. And I mean like let's get gross here. Right into his blanket, like right into it. Like, dude,
what are we doing?
The laundry
Who are you hiding from?
You're saying he shot right into the blanket, eh?
It seems that's what he's doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a smear job for sure.
Like, you're again, like that's like $100 fucking laundry bill, dude. They say when you send it off to you, like, is there a comforter in here? And also, did you come on?
Comforter.
Oh,
yes.
come on.
You said comforter.
I did too. You're right.
Look at it this way. I mean, you have the expendable income for the dry cleaning on this fucking comforter, if only because you weren't wasting all that money on a pesky date.
That's true.
Do you have like a handy like undershirt, even just anything other than where you're sleeping in 5 minutes?
But the thing, and look, you don't see him being like, "Let's do something naughty." You know what I mean? Like the planning doesn't happen.
No, it just kind of like it's just. So I guess I think that's better if it seems to unfold naturally. But that's like. I'm just curious if that's ever happened in the history of human communication.
Exactly. Well, I mean, if it happened
for the first time ever, but even then, I still think someone was like, "I've got an idea."
All right, so
you have to lay out the ground rules.
Exactly.
But the line that he has is like, because she says something like, "Oh, what was that noise?" And he was like, "Oh, I just took my shirt off."
Don't mind that. That's just my crunchy, crusty bed. I wish you were here in it.
it's flaking off again.
It's like dandruff in the wind.
She's God, that's gross. She says it was so gross it blew all the thoughts clear out of my brain. It's what so he says I just took my shirt off. She says something like, "Oh," and then he goes, "So is this really happening? Are we doing this?" And like she has to be like, "Are you jerking off right now?"
I mean, first of all, he's been jerking off the entire time.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
But she joins in, right?
Yeah.
She joins in, and that's what's shocking. It just keeps
going.
Going.
Yeah, it does.
It goes on forever.
They are on the phone until 4 a.m. when he decides, I'm going to come over and we're going to have breakfast, whether you want it or not.
Yeah.
Which is true, but I'm just talking about the sex, the phone sex part of it is so long.
Because I mean, like that's the thing. There's a point when everyone in the audience got it, and you could just pan up and it's fine. But it doesn't. You see, like this blanket move.
You
Oh,
really
yeah.
do.
I
Yeah.
must
There's a lot of
say,
like breathing.
Yes, it's a lot of
breathing.
Really
Yes.
get the point? I don't know. What else
Very
would you think was
breathy.
happening? Like, we get it.
There's a lot of her like rolling around, giggling. Like,
Lots
yeah.
of that. Ugh.
First of all, the giggling is a different animal altogether. Are you into the giggling or not into the giggling?
listen, if I'm having phone sex and on the other end I hear giggling, I'm like, are you even into this? Because yes, I'm over here jerking off.
I mean, I'll tell you what. Young Chris Cabin was really into this.
Yeah, you don't
This
say.
was just
A little
wonderful.
tracking scene
Yeah.
here.
Oh, beautiful. Just wonderful stuff. I was like, hey, is there a director's cut? Is there a 30-minute version of this?
Now, Jen, I'm curious though, on this family watch of this movie, was there any fast forwarding involved?
No, my parents didn't do the fast forward. They just did the stony silence.
Oh,
It was like a
got it.
punishment worse than the fast forward. Like, because it was always, and this is obviously pure projection on my part, but I always felt it was very accusatory. So this
Yes.
is all my fault. I chose this movie. I made this happen.
It's incredible that you're saying that, because that is the vibe that I would get from my father, where if we were watching something similar, there was a vocal response in my house, which was, "What is this shit?" And it felt like it was always pointed directly at me, like, "You fucking pervert. What movie did you pick? I didn't know I raised a little pervert."
He's doing this. He's doing this while we were watching Top Gun.
It was very much like, I'm not going to be doing the favor of fast forwarding. You're going to sit there and watch this. That's 100% how I felt. That is not actually what's happening. I think what was also happening is that my parents were dying inside.
Yeah.
You know,
And everyone was just too paralyzed to touch the remote.
I mean, that all sounds terrible, but my parents were very fancy and free. So they're like, oh yeah, come on in. We're watching Hellraiser 3. That naked lady's being flayed alive. And I'm just like, can we do the fast forward? Can we do something else?
Yeah, I also am in this. You have the cruising story. I have the happiness story era, where we were just like, yeah,
geez.
whatever, just do it.
Tiger beat.
I think if I watched Happiness with my parents, my father would have banned television in the household for life.
I mean, just him, the idea of him like freaking out at just like a sex scene. Like, I imagine him watching Top Gun and be like, Andrew, that is not what you do with ice. All right? Ice is for beverages. Do you hear this?
I feel like somebody's dad must have been like, turn this shit off at the volleyball scene. Like, you know, sure. Oh, wait a minute. God damn it. It's that kind of movie. I will ever tell these stories. I don't know if I've ever told this before. When my mom turned off Chasing Amy.
Oh shit! No,
Yeah,
I think I remember you telling me this. Maybe it was not on the show though.
Yes. We're all watching. You know, I liked Kevin Smith, obviously, and like kind of made my family suffer through it. But everybody, you know, liked at least those first couple of movies, and they were all like, you know, racy-ish, but not too bad. But we're watching it's family movie night for some reason, and I chose Chasing Amy because I wanted to see it, and it's the part.
Well, and you're the little pervert.
And I'm also a little pervert. And it's the part when Joey Lauren Adams, they're in the playground and they're talking. I mean, like, you know, a lot of stuff's happened already, and my mother's been a fair sport about it, I suppose. But it's the part when, you know, I believe the line is because they talk about how can lesbians satisfy each other, and it's like, well, how big can a tongue get? And she shows her his tongue. My mom's already uncomfortable. And then she pretty much mimics fisting really quickly. And that was it. That was the end of the ball game.
So turned off.
Turned off. It was just, that's too much. Oh, that's okay. Oh, that's it. That's it. And it was that, and that was it. And I finished it the next day.
Oh, I was gonna say she didn't throw the tape down the incinerator.
Well, it was Blockbuster, dude. That'll cost you a pretty penny.
Yeah,
dude. That would have bankrupted the family, dude.
No more of this flarn filth, Steven. I won't have it.
But yeah, so Eric, as you pointed out, immediately after the sex scene, like, this dude's still cum drunk, and he's like, "I'm gonna come over. And look at that! It's almost morning. I've been tallywhacking my tallywhacker since the late into the night, into the morning, and now we must have breakfast. I'll be over in a minute."
Sleep it off. Let that thing heal before you go to her house.
All right, let me just get out of bed and take my blanket off.
Let me apply some band-aids to this danged up wanker.
It sounds like you have a.
Well, I don't know. What do British people say?
Oh my goodness, my danged up wanker.
Oh, the peroxide stings. Oh, the peroxide stings.
Oh,
boy.
it's just disgusting.
I'm so glad I was on this episode.
Oh god.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Absolutely.
And this is so deranged. Him just going over there with a box of cereal
I know.
and a carton of milk. And I don't even know what's more deranged, that or then her trying to do a Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yes.
I know. I screamed in the house. I was like, she's pulling a Doubtfire.
Wait, is this after? So this is 96. I'm pulling up Mrs. Doubtfire right now.
Doubtfire's 93.
Oh,
I
why
think.
93? You're totally right. Yeah, so she's definitely just doing a Mrs. Doubtfire. Fascinating. Help is on the way, I guess.
At least with Robin Williams, man, it was like a delicious
Dude, yes.
meringue pie of some kind. This is just, we're slopping mayonnaise.
Oh god.
Gross.
And then
Or I
she
guess
just-
now it's the West Coast. So what's it called over there? It's
Oh.
not Hellman's.
Oh, God, you're right. I forget.
Oh, it has
Hellman's
that
is
weird
called
name.
something else on the
Yeah.
West
Really?
Coast.
America's
Yes, it is.
best taste, something like
Me
that.
and my brother got into this because I didn't know
Yeah,
this.
Fascinating
And,
little piece of trivia.
Hellman's on
Man
the,
hell?
I'm looking it up right now. Hellman's on the
Please,
West. Yes,
please.
Hellman's on the West Coast is known as Best Foods.
Of
And-
course.
Was there some big like West Coast guy named Hellman that was like a big famous anti-Semite or
I don't
something?
know.
And they-
I'm gonna put this in the chat because you all need to look at it. The logo is the same, but it just says Best Foods on the inside.
You know-
it's fucking fucked up.
Very
That is
creepy.
I bet because like there's some product testing, like, oh, dipping your French fries in Hellman's, that doesn't sound as good as Best Foods or what, because they do ranch or whatever else out
Yes,
there.
we love our ranches.
oh my God, it's the same exact logo.
Yeah.
It's freaky,
And
isn't it?
Very strange.
And both of them, Best Foods and Hellman's, apparently claim to bring out the best.
Well, I guess that makes sense. It makes sense both because I bring out the best because you're bringing out the best foods. I
Right.
suppose.
And then on the East Coast, it's Berenstein Bears. On the West Coast, it's Berenstain.
Oh, that's what happened
Yeah.
there. That's what caused that rift. I get it.
yes, and
now.
on the East Coast, Sinbad was in that movie, and on the West Coast, it was
Yeah.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
And when
Dude,
the- I think the dress was gold on that.
Yes,
coat.
you're right, you're right.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Nelson Mandela got killed in prison. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
But so also even creepier. So he just shows up. A, when did she give him her address? Two, she's like, she does this whole thing where like she's got this horrible mayonnaise. First of all, someone's got a food fetish on this movie, and we'll talk about that in one of the
Oh, yeah.
upcoming scenes. This mayonnaise is definitely part of it.
Mhm.
She got this mayonnaise all over her face. She's like, oh, I've got this face mask on. You can't come in. He's like, well, I'm not leaving until you give me an article of your clothing, something you've been wearing all day.
Oh.
See, this is if you were totally into this psychotic behavior, you would have to shut it down right here.
Yes.
But
Where you're asking for fucking elements
Exactly.
of clothing.
And it's so odd because, like, I mean, obviously this guy has his own mental issues, as evident from this
Oh,
film.
yeah.
But like, so she doesn't want to meet up with him earlier in the night, and so like, obviously, this part of this whole phone call from his perspective is like winning her over by talking to her and like so on and so forth. And now she's like more into him and might want to meet up with him eventually, but like not
Right.
now. Like she already didn't want to hang out with you at the beginning of the night.
Yes.
You're supposed to be like easing her into this. Like,
That's
why would
true.
you want to hang out with someone you just had phone sex with? It's very strange.
You don't want to see. That's the whole point of phone sex. Is it happened, and you like, be cool about it, dude. Like, just be like, all right, cool. Maybe I'll call you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Bye.
Was
Yeah.
anyone else expecting something to happen with this shoe? She tosses him a shoe, and I thought, like, oh, that's not like Uma Thurman's shoe size is going to be different.
That's-
We're going to do like a
it
Cinderella
definitely
thing.
is.
Oh, man, it's huge.
I mean, yeah, that's a good call, though, dude. I
Mhm.
didn't think of that, but this movie's certainly not above it.
I
Yes.
mean, they use it for a really stupid, like when the fucking dog brings it over to remind
right.
him
Yes.
at near the end is what
Oh,
they
right.
do bring it back. But like, this is like, dude, it's first of all, she just came. She probably wants to go to sleep.
Yes, of
I
course.
would assume. But like, also, it's 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't want to do eat at 3:30 in the morning. Are you nuts?
She's got to give dog medical advice by like 3 p.m. that day.
What is this?
And
But
like,
here's the.
it's
Go ahead,
it's obviously a thing of like, can I come in and maybe sleep over? It's like,
Yep.
we're gonna graduate to the real thing. Like, not tonight.
No.
Even first of all, I've been lying to you this whole time. I'm Janine Garofalo, by the way. But second of all, not tonight. Like, we had our moment. It's been cool. Be cool about it.
Oh, honey, I must look like a Yeti in this thing. Now go away.
If there was any possibility of this dude getting around too by coming over with breakfast,
Sure.
maybe something more than a box of cereal and fucking milk that really screams like I picked this up at the gas station on the way over here because it was the only thing open because it's 3:00 in the morning.
It's Banana Nut Crunch, by the way. And he does bring bananas, ladies and gentlemen.
Ugh.
This guy's a loser. This guy's a loser, man.
And a loose cannon. I don't know. So the next thing is she goes up. Janeane Garofalo like goes up to Uma Thurman. Oh, Uma Thurman reads a Cosmo article because that's one of the things she does because she's a big old moron.
She's so stupid.
And it's like, is your boyfriend a loser? Or I would say, is your boyfriend verbally abusive? Is the checklist I would use for this dude. But it's like, is your boyfriend a loser? She's in tears because she realizes her boyfriend is a loser. And
this is when you want to get maybe the social services involved.
Exactly.
Something. Like when she starts crying because she thinks her boyfriend's a loser. I've just disconnected. I was like, I can't do this anymore. This is ridiculous. What? Why? Why is she a baby?
And like there's just this other scene. It's like right before she takes the quiz. Where, so like, I don't know if we mentioned this, but she is planning to audition to be a news anchor. And so she's rehearsing like this fake newscast thing in the mirror. And he's doing like, I told you I'm trying to sleep. And, like, throwing shit at her. And you're just like, all right, man. Like, it is a true bummer that you needed a Cosmo quiz to fucking shine some light on this here.
Her news audition is great, though. Her, like, being happy and giddy about, like, 71 people drowned. Oh, great.
But she says she calls up Garofalo or whatever. And, like, Janeane Garofalo gives us a precise time on this. And she's like, oh, we had a great time last night. He called me. We talked for 7 hours.
And
yikes.
And she doesn't, I mean, I guess she doesn't talk about the phone sex here, but wouldn't you be like, and it's weird, like he just started touching it. And I was like, I guess this is happening. I didn't want to hang up and it felt weird to not. So I kind of did too, but I didn't get anywhere because I was really uncomfortable the whole time.
But
he certainly did.
Make no mistake about it, Noel. He definitely started jerking off before I was even into it.
Before we even talked about it was already happening. And I was like, oh, I guess. Okay.
So Uma goes over to Brian's apartment here because they're like, all right, we're gonna stop this charade once and for all. I'm gonna go to his apartment and hang out, and you have to go do your radio show. So we'll, this'll blow the whole thing up. He's gonna realize you're on the air, and I'm, sitting there talking to him. So she goes over to the apartment, and he's like, oh yes, oh, would you like something to eat? Oh, let me see what's in the fridge. This refrigerator is disgusting. Ugh. It's they're trying to do like single guy whatever, sure. But like this dude is getting food poisoning from anything that's being eaten in here.
I think I blinked and missed it. What's in there?
It's just like gross, like uncovered food.
Is it best foods, Mayo? Or?
He's got a Butterfinger bar in there. He's got a box of Bunch of Crunch in the refrigerator.
A bunch of just loose candy.
Did you knock over a movie theater last night?
The cereal will go bad if you leave it out. Don't you understand?
Oh God!
Are you British people? Like... Here's the thing. I don't know what you freaks do over the pond. Are you British people refrigerating candy bars? Is that what you fucking freaks are doing?
Wouldn't surprise me.
That's fucked up. It's fucked up if true.
Putting their Cadbury flakes in the refrigerator.
Ooh, let's snap into some coldies. Get me a coldie from the fridge.
May I interest you in a cold peep?
Oh man, refrigerated peeps. I don't know about that.
It's chilled to perfection.
It's the bunny ones, don't worry.
Every Boxing Day, my father gets a whatchamacallit out the freezer and we break our teeth on it.
We're celebrating our 1-year wedding anniversary. We're taking all the Three Musketeers out the freezer that we had from the wedding reception. They're still good.
Would you like some frozen Sour Patch Kids to suck on?
Oh man.
You know those big furry hats that those guards have at Buckingham Palace?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I imagine what a British condom is like.
Pardon me?
Yeah, just a nice furry condom,
Sure.
Yeah.
It sounds right.
What gave you that thought? We're talking about candy over
I'm thinking
here.
about my own thing over here.
He's got his own show happening.
So this is, Steve, you alluded to it a second ago, but this is like someone here, either the original screenwriter or someone who did a punch up, is really into food play.
It's because like first she's like, oh, I've got tuna fish, which you love. And she's like, oh, I gave it up this morning because she doesn't eat. And it's like, okay. He's like, well, I've got this plate of sweets. And it's a big thing of cake and there's some cheese on it.
And he said it was left over from a photo shoot. So it's been under photography lights. Then he puts it uncovered in the fridge for undisclosed number of days.
Months.
Well, to be fair, he wasn't expecting to keep the cake. He was bringing it only in for the photo shoot, and then he was going to try to return it.
Hurry up and take this photo. I got this cake back to the baker.
Now, was the cake always green? No, yes, it was green, of course. Sure.
Oh, okay, I have to talk to you. The cake is on rollerblades. I don't know how to deal with this.
But so she's like, oh no, I mustn't eat food, and model jokes. And he's like, no, you have to try it. And he's like, it's this big creamy cake that he starts, like one bite would be one thing, but he feeds her the whole thing.
Wow. And did he do anything to it prior, right?
Exactly.
This is like whenever I think of a potluck at an office, people are they're fucking pissing in whatever else and stuff. It's happening.
This obsession of yours.
Yeah,
like, are they bringing a bouillabaisse there? Like,
Dude, you wouldn't believe the horror shows they used to unveil at my old office.
I need to bring a fifth person here. Jen, you've worked in a lot of offices. Were you ever uncomfortable at potlucks because you were afraid of what people were doing in there?
No.
Okay, good question.
Well, okay, you're naive.
Hey, let me tell you something. I wasn't, but I am now because he's been fucking ragging on this shit for like 4+ years.
I'm just saying. I can't be the only person that thinks this, and that means someone else is doing bad things.
Eric,
No.
why won't you eat the mac and cheese? Well, there's cum in there. You know there's cum in there.
There fucking probably is.
Why is someone coming in mac and
To
cheese?
get back at you.
What?
For office politics, Chris.
Got
you
it,
wouldn't
got it.
understand it.
I understand.
I don't know. I mean, now I'm getting convinced.
He poisons your mind is the problem, Jen.
Luckily, I work from home now. So.
Yeah. Thankfully, COVID took out the potluck.
Yeah. Whew.
Yeah, it won't be another potluck for quite some time.
But this is also where he gives her the book and she like mildly freaks out. Like, no one's ever gave me words before.
Because
and
her-
this is an intense gift. Like, if you haven't even really had a real date, you have not had real sex before, and he gives you Simone de Beauvoir's letters to Jean-Paul Sartre, I do not think so. No.
That's Francis McDormand and Joel Cohen. That's
yes,
that's
exactly.
the only couple that gets to do that, literally ever.
And no matter who's given what copy to who, either of them is excited as fuck to receive.
Yes.
it.
And you know why? Because they've been married for 30 years.
Yeah, it's just
Not like, is that some woman you're vaguely stalking?
Yeah, definitely like the definition of coming on too strong.
I think I remembered my first moment when I thought of this is when I had some cake that was so salty. It was ridiculous. Sorry.
What's the matter? You don't like my grandmother's famous salt cake?
That's the thing, dude. And they were like, what? What's the matter? You don't like it? And they're smiling at you with a little creep smile.
See, folks, it's a really important lesson here. It's very crucial. You are not the most hated person at your office.
I was absolutely the most hated.
No, you don't understand. It's a savory birthday cake. That's what it is.
Yeah, it was fucking weird. Anyway.
But
Sorry.
she's supposed to, her part of the bargain, because Janeane Garofalo is a huge fucking coward, is to turn the radio on when Janeane Garofalo goes on. But she's like, oh no, she's so overwhelmed by this sexual food situation and the book. She's like, I can't. Oh, I'm late for my shift. And he's like, I can get you there very quickly in my Jurassic Park car.
Dude, this Jurassic Park car is insane. And like, also, I was supremely bummed that for a 96-minute movie, I paused at this point and was like, surely this is over. 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Stunning stuff. But yeah, so they go from like briefly making out to racing to the radio station. And it's like, man, this is dumb. Like the show goes on the air and he sees her right there, like still in the lobby, and doesn't. He's like, now wait a minute, and starts like chasing her. He goes in an elevator, and then she's like running up these stairs, and like they somehow get there at the same time. Kind of unbelievable.
Which again, he's coming on way too strong, because the thing is, I'll drop you off. Cool, you've done that. I'll talk to you later, dude. No, he follows her up, and he's like, he goes into the production booth, into the booth. He's like, can I watch your show? And she's like, no.
Yep. I need to concentrate, she says. And like, yeah, exactly. I'm working here. No, you can't just gawk at me.
Do you have a job?
Yes.
Don't you have to take pictures of some kid roller skating with his mom or something?
All roller skate photography, nothing but.
Nothing.
There was a briefly cathartic moment here where like he's running to the booth and she opens the stairwell door and slams it right in his dumb face.
Yeah, that was
I
nice.
was like, all right, brief respite. Excellent.
But
yeah, I need to concentrate. Whatever.
So now they're like this, who does he like better routine? Because she's like, I don't know. Now I kind of like him because he gave me a book and no one's ever believed I could read before, I guess. And
yeah, it's a real like no one's treated me like an adult before.
yeah. And it's like, well, I have an idea. Why don't we go to his apartment and get hammered and like, I guess, what is the plan here, Jen? To see who he likes more? Like who
Yeah,
he kisses?
I mean, no, because with Thurman, what she says is, we'll get hammered and see what happens.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
That's the recipe for a night.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
I
for
mean,
this
that-
whole thing is like the button to a joke because she's like, Uma's like giving some ideas about what they could do
yeah.
at this point. And it's like, well, we could do this. No. Well, all right. How about this? No. All right. Well, what's the third idea? We just go to his house, get shit-faced, and see what happens.
Oh, the question,
And
Uma wants to ask him who, if he was stranded on a desert island, would he rather stay with Time's playmate, the playmate
Times
of
Playmate of the Year. Yeah.
Thank you, Jen. Thanks. I was trying to fix that.
Hitler
Tidy that up.
again.
yeah, look at me showing you my gowns.
Oh boy, lift up that lederhosen.
No, Time's Time's Woman of the Year, or the Playmate Bunny of the Year. So great. That's the question.
Right. Yep.
Yep.
Right.
And they're like, oh,
And-
that's stupid. No, let's just go there and get hammered. So they do.
Yeah. And then this is where you're like, all right, now something's really going to go on in this movie. We're doing piles of tequila shots here.
So much.
Oh, we're doing tequila. There's also someone brings a bottle of Di Serono because it's the mid-90s.
Sure. They're smoking inside. And was there an ape mask or something at play here?
Someone's got
A
a
clown
monkey
mask.
mask on.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
a clown
Yes,
mask.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
that's
clown
right.
mask.
Oh, did you hear this new band they just started? They're called Slipknot. They're meant to be amazing.
Got to listen to the notes they're not playing.
I was going to say the notes, they're not grunting.
But I mean, like, yes. I mean, clearly, if you're Brian, you're just like, oh, well, I guess this is happening. They're all here together. This is what we're trying to do.
Like, they came here, both of them. It's first of all, it's a weird thing. Uma walks in, she's got a bottle of booze, and he's like, all right. And it's a really embarrassing, like, he goes to close the door, and then
Oh,
Janeane
yeah.
Garofalo's
Yeah.
got to fucking put her foot in the door and be like, actually, hello. And, like, she's also got booze, and it's like, shots, shots, shots. He's got to be like, all right, they're both here. It's late at night.
Yep.
They're just pounding booze in front of me, like, as am I, like, let's get it going.
And they're just sitting around, like they're not watching television. They're just
Yes.
listening to music and drinking and smoking in his house, which is really like, I feel like he must be like, okay, should I put on a movie or should we play a board game? Or is it, no, we're just going to sit and drink. Okay.
I would be sure she wasn't into it because she brought Donna. Like, I would
Yes.
feel like her keep on showing up. I'd be like, oh, she's not into me. Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
that's fine.
She doesn't feel safe around me at the very least.
Yeah. At
Which
the very least,
she
so,
should
like,
not.
No, she
Of
certainly
course
should.
not. But like at this point, I'm just like, what I would be at least asking, like, what is your relationship with Donna? Or do you help on the cheese farm, or what's going on here? Are you like best friends from back when?
I would love that if they're totally smashed. He's like, so what's your cheese production like? She's like, the fuck are you talking about? Oh, right. Yeah,
Right,
the
right, right.
cheese. Yeah. Big time.
It would be awesome, though, if he's like, Well, my father used to run a cheese factory back in the UK, and I actually know a lot about cheese production, so now I'm going to ask you. Like, if she was, like, caught in the lie.
Yeah, my father was a bit of a monger. Cheese and hate.
All right, ladies, sit down there. Anybody want a cold one? Oh, yeah, me. All right, here's a Nestle's Crunch for you. And 100 grand for you.
Here you are, Abby. I didn't forget. It's a bowl of ice-cold Reese's Pieces.
They're frozen together, you see, so you just lick the outside.
They'd fall in the back of the fridge, you know, so I gathered them up and put them in a little bowl for you.
Might be a few Skittles in there. Be cautious.
Oh, yes, this is rare. This is a chilled Heath bar, you see. Very rare.
You got to be careful with some of them candies, man. You can't get them too cold. Then you can't bite through them like a fucking cold Heath bar. Be careful.
You crack a tooth.
Chip your teeth.
Mm-hmm. They wind up... she just gets in his photography chair and he starts doing the old, oh, you're surprised. I thought you were a bridge troll, but you're actually quite beautiful. And she's like, she gets sexy on him.
Sort of. Her sexy expressions. This is not an insult to Miss Janeane Garofalo, for whom I have the utmost respect, but her sexy looks are not really.
No.
She looks more like she's about to throw up from all the tequila.
Yeah. She does look nauseous, not sexy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it actually kind of works because, like, the movie does nothing to, like, help this along, but, like, Garofalo IRL is probably really uncomfortable having to do this shit. So they sort of they should have worked it so, like, you know, he's saying, like, oh, don't be so nervous or something like that, because she looks absolutely miserable.
Confused, like actually confused about what she's doing there, really is the look.
And then Uma gets in on it and she's like, all right, now it's my turn. Take my picture. And Garofalo bails and, you know, she kind of taps out at this point. Like, look, you can have him.
Yes.
You know.
If you're Brian, you have to be like, oh, is she getting cold feet? Come to bed, Donna. Donna, it's going to be all right.
I've done this 3 other times. There is kind of a funny, like, she's leaving and, like, putting her coat on, and he's like, oh, you're leaving? Secret rendezvous. And, like, Janeane Garofalo's, like, the tone of the response is great. She's just like, you know it.
But I was about to get out my big furry hat condom.
And she, you know, Garofalo's like, all right, you know, just go for it, Uma Thurman. Like, I'm done. You can stay here. And I did appreciate this shot. It's kind of cool. Like, you see Garofalo's, like, looking at the apartment building, and you can see, like, their silhouettes. And it's like they stop on the stairs. And it's kind of a good moment of, like, oh, actually, is she going to turn him down?
Yes.
And then, uh-oh, no. You know, they both walk up the stairs.
And this is when, like, the movie gets montage heavy, where Uma Thurman goes away for some modeling job, and she keeps leaving Janeane Garofalo messages because she feels so bad.
Right.
And it's just, you know, okay. It's that part of the movie, you know.
Because the problem is this movie winds up having, like, 2, like, second act climaxes, which is what makes it feel so off, because this whole, like, her getting sort of, like, frustrated right here and that whole thing and, like, calling, like, that seems like it's a place where the movie could end.
Yes.
And, you know, that's why I was sort of like, you know, 45 minutes left of the movie. But then, like, obviously the other actual confrontation has to be, like, he finds out and gets mad. And it's like, there's not enough movie here. So now we're just doing these montages to kind of stretch it out a little bit.
Yes.
And the him feeling bad stuff really feels like an afterthought. I'm like, get over it. Like, come on. Let's move it along here. We all know. But, like, it is really just all these schemes. It's like, rather than just tell the truth, like, hey, how about this scheme? That didn't work? Shit. Okay. How about a new scheme? This time we're going to have him write down what he likes about me and, like, see if it's more you or, like, what the fuck? Just say something. One of you, I beg of you. I was screaming at this point.
And Uma's saying, like, on these messages, like, look, by the way, and I feel like you got to lead with this, Uma. It's kind of like the 9th message we see her do, where she's like, oh, I know I've been leaving you messages for days, but right here I figured it would probably be important to tell you I didn't sleep with him.
Yes. She wanted to tell her in person, you see. That's the thing. It's like, that's
oh, stupid.
And she comes back and it's like, hey, look, I'm going to solve this stuff. And she kind of does this thing. She tells Brian to go to Janeane Garofalo's place at 5, and she'll tell him everything. And the idea is Janeane Garofalo will be there, and she'll have to basically, admit it.
Right.
But then we're doing more Mrs. Doubtfire bullshit here.
This is after they've had that beach walk.
Oh, the long beach walk.
And this is where I had it.
They run into each other at that department store makeup counter, right?
That's
right.
Yes,
she's returning the makeup, and there is kind of a funny bit where he's like, Donna, and like her back's to him, and she's not responding, which is kind of great. But yeah, they have this long walk on the beach, and I'm like, motherfucker, you've been talking to this woman all afternoon. How have you not reached the conclusion that this was the woman from the phone sex?
I masturbated with this person.
And there is some bullshit line that Janeane Garofalo has to like sort of, I guess, justify her insecurity, which you don't necessarily need to do, but you sort of need to set up earlier. Like if they set up like her ex-boyfriend said, you know what, you're ugly and I'm leaving you, then that would be an insecurity. But it's something, oh, I went to college and I gained 40 pounds. So now I'm very insecure, even though I
Did
guess
you
I
notice
lost
the bit of inflation there with that, Steve?
No.
She says, and this is 96, so figure, whatever. She's in college in like 89, 90 maybe. She's like, oh, I gained, have you ever heard of the freshman 10?
Oh, right.
And in my head, I was like, well, we called it the freshman 15.
Yeah, I was very curious about that too. I was wondering if it was that there was some kind of like inflation going on, so that by the time we all were in college, it was a 15, or if it was that like whoever was like, at the end making the final changes on the screenplay was like, we cannot be implying that women should go around gaining 15 pounds. Like that is just
I think we had to add 5 extra because we went to college in the early aughts where like Mountain Dew was in like bread and shit.
Oh no, I got an inflation problem. All these teenagers are getting fat.
Oh God, I heard next semester it's gonna be the freshman 25.
Damn. There's all that Fruitopia.
Oh,
definitely.
So much Fruitopia. Maybe how about this? Maybe it's like an East Coast, West Coast Hellman's thing.
Oh.
Like, out there it's only 10 pounds.
Damn, America's sinking into the ground because we're too fat.
I had myself a sandwich yesterday on a big loaf of Mountain Frost Mountain Dew.
I was making a tuna fish sandwich, put mayonnaise all over my face.
It's supposed to be good for you.
Oh my God.
I'm in the kitchen. Next thing I know, I forgot how to make a sandwich. Tried to eat my own chin.
If he has like a senior moment or something, someone like a staffer should come out with like mayonnaise on their face and just be like, yeah, I'm Joe Biden.
Jen Psaki comes out.
Yeah.
Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Doubtfire is here. Oh, she's gonna do the news for us, Miss
Because
Doubtfire.
I guarantee they did that with Reagan, but the TV looked so bad in the 80s and people were like, yeah, I guess that's Reagan.
Yeah, it's tough now with the HDs.
It was just the puppet from that Peter Gabriel video.
That was one of the State of the Unions. Yes.
Yeah, there's a whole thing here where like she's cold, he puts his coat on her.
Sure.
Also, dude, I gotta tell you what. You're fucking claiming you are not interested in this woman, dude. You're blowing on her hands to warm her up. Let me tell you something, pal.
Yeah.
Inappropriate unless you're into this chick.
If I could be really pretentious for 1 minute here.
1 minute?
Oh, just
You've
one?
been going on for 11 years now.
Well, super. This is more than usual.
Real serious stuff. Okay.
I hate that I thought about this, but like the French thing really hit me this moment because a shot of her looking at the sunset with Ben Chaplin is literally the end of The Green Ray. It's like literally the same shot.
Yes, you're totally right. And I actually thought about this. I was like, this is kind of way too like artistic for this movie. Like, let's move on. Like the cinematography doesn't need to be this good right here.
Yeah, it's a soulful moment. I'm like, what are you doing in this pervert pet and fucking phone sex movie?
But the whole thing gets totally blown up because she's like, oh, I gotta go, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, oh, one more thing, Donna. And she turns around like, yes. And in her head, she has to be like, fucking finally, here it comes. And he goes, tell Abby I miss her face.
Yeah.
It's like, man, face, especially screenplay, when this is the thing you've been saying without saying the whole time. about Janeane Garofalo. Fuck this.
And so yes, Noelle comes back and she's like, yeah, why don't do it at Three's Company, meet me in my apartment. And before you do, write down a list of all the things you love about me. And if you're Noelle and you're trying to get these two together, I'd be like, write down all the things you love about me. Leave off any physical stuff. Just what you think about me, my personality. Do that.
Yeah, not like what you like about me, but like why you like being with me, or like things you like doing with me, or something like that.
And he gets there, and Janeane Garofalo's there, and she's like, "Oh, Noelle's in the bath, and I'm just out here, and we're not in a relationship."
And this is like some deranged shit, though, because he's like, "Well, can I just talk to her for a minute?" And she's like, "Oh, I have to see if she's ready," and like runs in, and she's doing like both voices, like some real fucking Norman Bates shit. Oh, it's so, and he's falling for it also with like Garofalo like talking like herself, and then her being like, "And now this is my Uma Thurman voice."
I know, and I do have to say, gentlemen, if you're in this man's situation and you go over this woman's house, her friend is in her apartment wearing pajamas, and the other one is in the bathtub. Mm-hmm. What do you think is going on here? Like, what is your what you're just like, okay, cool, like normal, regular
business meeting? Clearly. They'll talk about entrepreneurial effort.
Yeah, that's what ladies do during business meetings. They got like pillow fights and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So yeah, they have this whole thing where he reads the lists or whatever, and then she basically has to start saying that she thinks she's ugly, and like the screenplay doesn't make her use the U word, but like the dialogue is just like getting narrower and narrower to the point where like if she says one more thing, it's gonna be "'cause I'm fucking ugly."
It's like Wordle with actual, you know what I mean? Like it's all the yellow things say spell ugly, but the movie they haven't put it together yet.
And then he finally just does "it doesn't matter what she looks like" or whatever. And then like in the dumbest, and I have to say, like, this really sort of gets both Uma and Garofalo off the hook here, their characters in a way, because it makes neither of them have to tell him the truth. He finds a flyer for her radio show on like a little side table and puts it together, and I'm like, boy, that's cheap. One of them has to say something.
I'm surprised she would even have her like headshot on there if she thought she was so disgusting or whatever.
Well, that's true, because also in the radio, when he goes to the radio station, very importantly, it's like, oh, all the radio personalities, and it's like, and the truth about cats and dogs, and it's just a cat and a dog. So yes, it is odd that she would have her own photo there.
Yeah, because this movie has to walk a fine line that it does not, which is that like the movie can't talk directly about whether, like, can't call Janeane Garofalo ugly, or even have her discuss that she thinks she's ugly, because we, the audience, have eyes in our head and we feel like she's not ugly. So instead they just like make, and they obviously don't want to address like, they don't want to get into fat or not fat or any of that stuff.
Nope.
Which is like good, but at the same time it's like, so then it's just like, not like, what is her problem then? Like, she's just.
Excuse me, Jen. She's vaguely unpleasant.
Yeah, I mean,
that is really a hill to climb right there.
That is. Yeah, it's just like you need to put the movie needs to put a finer point about what she thinks about herself, what he thinks about her, and what the rest of the world thinks when they see her, because they don't, and so it's just like, I don't even know what we're talking about.
Well, even so much so at the end, like, so he finds out, oh man, is this some sort of joke? You're a comedy routine. This, that, the other thing, and he like starts really laying into them, and he goes like, "Yeah, you're the stupid and beautiful one, and you're the smart, and you know what? Forget it." I'm like, "No, finish the fucking sentence.
We need to talk about this. You made this movie up, movie."
Exactly.
Also, here, while he's like piecing this together in this scene, and like it's awful throughout, but there's kind of like some blissful silence here while he's putting it together. The score
Oh.
to this movie is
Ugh.
it's reprehensible.
It's the
It's
French
so
thing
bad.
too. Like there's like little mandolin like like when they're walking along the beach.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's all also terrible.
Howard Shore is taking it for a walk.
Yeah, I think it was let's have the assistant write this one and we'll put Howard Shore's name on
Well,
it.
he could take a long walk off a short shore.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
Baby.
Sort of something.
That's sort of
I
something.
thought about not
indeed.
saying it, but here we go.
Where would we be then?
What we do get in this next scene is something that you can and I've been here myself. The person's going through a rough time, man. Cup of coffee in the morning at a bar.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not good.
Mhm.
Well, this is when the first scene is like when Uma Thurman disappears from the movie, where it's like it's them on the beach, and they're like, well, that was wild and wacky, and she's like, oh, by the way, I didn't get my I didn't get my my newscaster gig. Obviously, I'm so stupid, but you're a great friend. And she's like, Janeane Garofalo is like, here, I have this other job at the radio station for you, which is not what she wanted. Or
And she
what
also says it's not news, but it's pretty good. But she doesn't say what it is.
like, what is it?
What is it? What is this job? Is it secretary? Is
It's
it
mopping the floors
broadcasting?
at night.
Well, actually, we need somebody to hang up new portraits. You see a funny person. I had taken a picture of myself to be hung on the wall, and some joker just put up a bunch of fucking dogs and cats. So you know what? We do a new picture hanger is what we need. Okay, Noelle. So could you help us, please?
I mean, it would have been a nice thing if you see at the end of this movie, like maybe Uma is like the call screener now, but like she's also working like the Rouse Doyle angle. So she's like getting some lines in on the air. They have some witty banter or something.
It's just so weird because she's just like, wow, thanks, and is gone. Because I guess what the indie version of this movie, which would be more satisfying if it's like, wow, this guy is gone, but aren't we great friends? You know what I mean? That's sort of something.
And
maybe.
we also have learned, like, because also, like, there's no resolution to any of their characters at all. Like, it's not like Uma Thurman's like, learns to be more confident in herself.
Yeah.
Or anything at all.
Right.
Like, she doesn't, nothing happens to her, really. Like, she's actually, I guess, worse off at the end than she is at the beginning.
Kinda. I would actually, yeah. Like, and the indie version of this movie would also have an interesting scene where she tells him, and there's an interesting back and forth about
Yes.
revelation,
Mhm.
rather than her talking to him while he silently sips coffee at this bar for 3 minutes.
Dude, and when she is trying to apologize and like he's not having it and this, that, and the other thing, and then she's like, whatever her line is, she's like, for what it's worth, like I really did like you or whatever, or I thought we'd be good together, and he's like, now we'll never know, will we?
Yes.
And like she stares at this guy, and I guess they thought that this was like a joke. Like awkwardly staring at him for like 20 seconds while he ignores her before she turns and leaves the bar. And I'm like, this is just uncomfortable. And it's making her even weirder. I mean, like, that's the thing is like the character is definitely flawed and whatever, but she wasn't weird in this way.
Yes.
And now all of a sudden she's weird. And it's like, just leave. It's not funny. It doesn't work.
No, it's not good.
Because also, like, since this movie is almost criminally underwritten, we don't really quite know what her motivation is here.
No.
Like, does she really think that he's going to, like, forgive her and they're going to get back together, or is she just trying to like apologize?
Yeah,
And
that's
you
a
don't
good
quite
point.
know. I mean, obviously, I know where the movie's going, unfortunately, but
but so like she gets like, yeah, it's a weird, like, you never see, obviously he is going to change his mind and they will get together, but like you never see him have that epiphany. Like she just goes back to work and then it's like, oh, you got a package here, and she opens it and it's a fucking pair of roller skates.
I mean, literally,
well, no, I think
this
you
is.
do see the epiphany because Chris mentioned this earlier, because he's in his apartment, sad and alone, and then the dog brings him her shoe.
Oh, yes.
And he's like, "Oh, the shoe," and I guess, but they don't show him smelling it, but I guess that's implied.
I mean, honestly, I was going to say
Yeah.
that dog should not be eating that shoe. I'll be honest with you. Dude,
There's flakes on the shoe as well.
flakes.
Look, if you're going to sniff and lick the shoe, just keep it to the outside of the shoe.
My precious flakes.
Oh my god! But like literally, somebody like it's the end of Wayne's World. This is cute rom-com ending. Like literally, it's got nothing to do with the rest of the movie. It's just like, well, what if we did the Scooby-Doo ending? Like, you know what I mean? Oh no, what if we did the cute rom-com ending where someone goes to somebody's work and does something cute, and everyone in their office goes, "Wow."
But yeah, so like, and this, it's just none of. I mean, like this movie is whatever, but like this literally does not make sense. Like. The dog is there with this package, and then like the dog is pulling her on the roller skates to a predetermined destination. And I'm like, dude, you've had this dog for maybe 2 months, like however long this story is supposed to go. Like, there's no way you trained it to do this.
No.
Like, this would be some really impressive, like kennel club dog show shit right here. And I'm not buying it with this dog. Although I will say the dog, I think, fabulous canine acting.
Oh,
Excellent
incredible.
acting.
Absolutely
Love this
incredible.
dog.
Oh, wow. Oh, Jerome, there's a dog here in the middle of the lobby. She led it up to that piece of shit up there. Probably for that piece of shit up there. Let's get this dog on the elevator, huh?
Hey, dog, you know what floor it is, right? Okay, I'll see you up there.
Love that dog.
I'd like to lodge a complaint.
You're passing bad medical advice to these pet owners. And I'm telling the authorities about that turtle finger thing.
30 stitches later, and I'm still not okay.
All right, we'll put up a little content advisory thing before those episodes. All right.
Topical.
But so he's at the beach or whatever, and it's really quick. There's a couple of lines back and forth, and then like we get to some real wide ass open mouth kissing. Kind of unbelievable.
Got to be clear here. She has got a haircut from 2 movies later. I don't even know.
Yeah,
I don't, because it's much longer here. It's a much better haircut. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She was well into shoots on The Matchmaker at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe she was filming Copland, possibly.
Ooh, maybe.
They had to fucking pull her out of a Just for Laughs performance. Get her back in for some reshoots.
But yeah, the kissing is, it's a lot, and it's a lot.
Yeah, I don't remember writing this, but my last note on this movie is just smooch.
I wrote
Definitely.
down smoochers. My next and final note was, I thought this was actually kind of funny. She was like, "Oh, that night on the phone, I'm pregnant."
See, and that is a very funny joke, and it's destroyed by Ben Chaplin's shitty response. Because she flips that so fast. I feel like that's another like great Garofalo joke or something. And then he just goes, the last line of this movie is he just goes, "Don't." as in like, as in like, don't joke about it, don't say that or whatever. And he's just like, "Don't."
That's wild. I have a cop. Mine's. He says, "Are you sure it's not? Are you sure it's mine?"
Oh, okay.
You're right. That is the last line of the movie. But
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those like the camera is already panning towards the ocean.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's an ADR line that you don't see his mouth actually say, but you're totally right. He does follow it up with a, "Are you sure it's mine?" Which is funny, which is why they had to do it in ADR, because they were like, "Dude, we have to have you go out with something entertaining." And that fucking monosyllabic response you gave was not
There's
it.
one thing you should know about me. My bed is pregnant, and I impregnated your shoe.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, 9 months later, Vincent Lindon is like giving birth to a fucking phone baby.
And one time I impregnated a cake at a potluck.
One of those guys, huh, Eric?
He seems the type, to be honest.
Just to be clear, if we're doing notes, my note said hard makeout. Okay, just to be,
Yeah.
that's what I
Nice
had.
and
I said-
hard.
We're playing password here.
I said, "This kiss is," and then all parentheses, "open mouth."
Yeah. But mine says "fucking in public."
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. There's also that. I'm glad to find out that we were all on the exact same wavelength
Yep.
at the end of this movie. Love it.
Basically, like a kid, like a little kid watching a movie, like, ew.
Yes, it's I mean, I'm sorry, it's gross to watch people make out.
It is,
It's not
It's
cool.
disgusting. I've turned off whole movies, but specifically, this is a Lifetime movie issue. Often, when there's terrible Foley kissing sounds,
Oh,
Oh,
the smooching.
if
I
it's
love
too
that.
bad, I will turn off the whole movie.
Yeah, like eating a sandwich
Yeah.
as a fucking sound of kissing.
Yeah, no, it's good.
We're in love now.
Pass the best foods mayonnaise.
I love you.
Don't. That is the end of this motion picture. We will go around with recommendations and final thoughts. And our guest this week, Jen, we'll start with you.
So do I recommend this movie?
Would you recommend it, or any other like final thoughts you have about the film, The
Okay.
Truth About Cats and Dogs?
It's really hard to recommend this movie. I've seen it a million times, and yeah, if you haven't seen it, don't. That would be my. If you have already seen it, yeah, keep watching it. Like you might as well. Like you already got it in your brain. Keep going. Sure, why
Keep
not?
the streak
Keep
alive.
the streak alive. You know, I'll probably this would not be the last time I see this movie by a long shot. It's just. But if you're not infected already, you know, just like stay safe, wear your mask.
Steve Sadak.
Yeah, I'll give it a light recommend. I will say this is, and this I want to give credit to the woman I stole that from last week when I said that Big Bully is a regular movie. I took that from my lovely wife. Jen is very clear about like, let's just watch a regular movie tonight, and I know exactly what she means by that. And that's like something like Big Bully or this movie. This movie is exactly a regular movie. I mean, aside from the phone sex. So it's like a light recommend, like kind of a hangover movie situation. I do like to watch, you know, Janeane Garofalo is very funny and very beautiful, and so is Uma Thurman is very beautiful, very fun. So these are good things to watch. Ben Chaplin's a dry toast, so there's that.
Eric Siska.
I can't really fully get there. It's a light not recommend. I think there's definitely worse you could watch, but it didn't quite get there for me. So no.
Mm-hmm. Chris Cabin.
I mean, I guess I have to because of my history with this. I just watched this movie so fucking much, but like
In your flaky bed.
in my flaky bed
Oh God!
with
damn.
pictures of Janeane Garofalo all over my wall. No, I mean it's funny you call it a normal movie. This is like a deeply irregular movie, to me, like wildly strange. And like what I think you mean by that is it's a very 90s movie.
Yes.
It feels like drenched in 90s stuff, and like the beginning of the terrible let's bring foreign movies over here and futz with them a little bit. It just has that whole scent about it. If I had not, like Jen, if I had not already seen it, I would probably tell you no. But I just have this history with this movie, and I can't. A lot of me is imprinted from this, so I have to give it a light recommend.
Yeah, I feel
Not
you,
good.
Chris. We're in the same horrible boat.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I guess I'm kind of like a light recommend. This was the first time I saw it. It was one of those movies where like I knew that VHS cover like front to back, and it was just kind of like, all right, it seems wacky enough, but I just never got around to it. And I thought it was like fine. I really thought like Uma to me was like the best part of it. Because I thought she is legitimately funny, but it's just from a totally different movie that's not
absolutely.
this. And I like Garofalo too. I think she's fucking hilarious. She's been, obviously in much better stuff than this. Wet Hot American Summer for one. And if you haven't, like, I think her stand up is very funny. I got to see her do stand up one time in Brooklyn. It was a lot of fun. She's a very funny person. This was just a weird experiment that did not work out so well. But that is going to do it for The Truth About Cats and Dogs. Jen, thanks so much for coming in and hanging out with us on this one.
Anytime. I'm really happy to celebrate Valentine's Day and Love-You-Ary here on We Hate Movies.
Just to be clear, Love-You-Ary is a Hallmark Network situation.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I know.
So happy Love-You-Ary.
Do not say that.
I think
To
we're
celebrate.
hate you area over here.
This certainly will not be the last time we go to the filmography of Michael Lehmann. That's for darn sure. I mean, who knows? We could, by looking at this, what I got here, there is an entire possibility we're doing one of these on listener request month.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. But that is The Truth About Cats and Dogs, directed by Michael Lehmann from 96, like I've said twice already in the last few seconds. If you want more We Hate Movies, of course, check out patreon.com/We Hate Movies. We've got a lot of cool stuff on the Patreon for the month of February, including, of course, the final few episodes of the first season of the podcast of Boba Fett. We'll see if that totally underbaked Star Wars TV show is worth a good goddamn in these last weeks here. We'll see about that. We got a We Love Movie. Speaking of Uma, of course, we are doing 2 We Love Movies episodes this month. Kill Bill Volume 1 and Kill Bill Volume 2 both coming out this month. Very excited about that.
2 feature-length episodes on that $5 level, folks.
And if you want to double your pleasure, you go up to the $10 level where you get that horrible Boba Fett show, but it is very funny and entertaining. But if you want to hear more,
our show is very funny and entertaining. That other show is the actual show is not.
If you want to hear more of Jen, you can get to our $10 Once in a Lifetime. She's already done what is that movie called?
Deadly Mile High.
Deadly Mile High Club.
Excellent.
And this month we have a new episode coming out about Stalked by My Doctor, The Return.
Yes, we forgot it on the Big Daddy Dispatch, but to let everyone know, yes, Once in a Lifetime will return in February because it's Love-You-ary or whatever, right? So, and we'll be talking about Stalked by My Doctor 2. I'm so excited.
And speaking of huge creeps, who are we talking about on the Gleep Glossary this month?
Well, we're kind of continuing this theme of kind of doing pairings with the Book of Boba Fett, because last month we did Dengar. This month we're going to do the Max Rebo Band.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we're going to learn all about the day a lot of them perished on Jabba's sail barge. It was the day the jizz died.
I guess so, except for, I guess, Max Rebo got out, which is, God bless, dude.
And of course, new episodes of Melrose 2.0 and the Nexus are on there. Listen, it's a stacked thing, folks. Check it out. Patreon.com/WeHateMovies.
It's honestly too much, so check it out.
And of course, on the main feed here, WHM Prime, new episode will roll out here next Tuesday. Steve, what will we be talking about then?
Dust off your worst Irish accents because we are going to get blown away next week with friend of the show, Jamel Bowie, coming back.
Yes, this is awesome. I'm excited for this. I'll tell you right now. You know why? I'll admit it right here. I have never seen this movie.
Oh, you know what? Neither have I. So we'll see.
Oh wow! Okay,
we will see.
It's a wild
such
one.
a treat.
It's a wild.
Oh my god! Tommy Lee Jones finds out about you too. It's just, it's incredible.
Oh boy, I love it. So until next week, when Jamel Bowie is back on the program talking Blown Away, I'm Andrew Jupin,
Steven Sadak,
Eric Siska,
Chris Cabin,
and Jennifer K.
Take it easy.
That was a HeadGum podcast.